Hey everybody, welcome to Average Guy Opinions. I'm your average guy, John Corelli. I am just waking up. Look at me. Once again, this looks foggy to me. I'll have to review this on the tele, because that's where I check my stuff on my PC with a big old screen, make sure this came out good. Anyway, try not to fall too behind on my daily videos. And I thought of something that I really haven't talked about much this year. That's my dad. Yeah, he's still around. My dad's 77 years old now. Um, I'm surprised because, as I've mentioned in past videos, but not recently, he smoked for 60 years. And the last 10 years of that, he was smoking while he was on oxygen. Now he's in assisted living. He's been in assisted living about 2.5 years, and he can't smoke there. He had a guy smuggling him cigarettes, Pall Malls. And he asked me to do it. I said, nope, not going to do that. And so he's dealing with that. As far as I know, he isn't smoking anymore. I don't think he's been smoking for the last year and a half, but he was getting cigarettes for about a year that he was in there. So, what are we speaking to here? We're speaking to my father. You know, there's a lot of good and bad that comes with old Joe Corelli. Quick background on me and him. And I think this video may have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe motivated or inspired by a show I'm watching on Netflix called Loudermilk. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with this. I like it. It's Ron Livingston. He's one of my favorite actors that a lot of people don't know. I think he was in Band of Brothers. He was definitely in the movie Swingers, which is one of my favorites. He's been in a lot of stuff. He was in Office Space, a cult favorite. And he just has a great likability, a realistic likability to him, and I love the dude, love the guy as an actor. And so in this show, he plays a recovering alcoholic that now he's the guy that runs the group. I don't know if it's technically AA, but it's a group of people that are dealing with addiction, and there obviously a lot of humor can come out of that. It's kind of a dark humor, and I like it a lot. In the show, the last show I watched, he's dealing with his dad, and his dad is nothing like me. Nothing like my dad, I should say. Somewhat, a little bit like my dad. I don't know if my dad is technically a narcissist. I think he is, because I think he thinks that people should just wait on him hand and foot. I don't think he does. He expects the world to do things for him when he wants them done. And he has the time to do that because he has been not paying taxes, and a lot of that is thanks to me, because I've been his tax shelter for 10 or more years now. For the 20 years previous to that, he hasn't worked in 30 years. He hasn't worked since like 1993, to my knowledge, a real job. And so he coasted on leaning on me, coasted on leaning on his wife. He's just coasted. And I think he got an inheritance when my grandmother died back right around 1997, I think. And he's very tight with his money. He wanted to live with me when his health started going south, and I said, no, can't do it. I told him it was because he smoked. But if I had to be honest with him, which I don't want to be in this case, like, I can't be around you for more than 10 to 45 minutes at a time, Dad. And that's where we get to where I wanted to go. But in this, I wanted to talk about Loudermilk real quick. And his dad just jumps into his life. And his dad's like kind of this nomadic guy. And it's funny because his dad just meets him in the courtyard of the church where these AA meetings are going. I call them AA meetings because I don't know technically if they are or not. And he's coming out, and and Dad's like, "You got a light?" And he's like, he can't even tell it's his dad. It's a guy in the shadows, and he's like, "No, I don't smoke." And he starts walking away. He's like, "Once a pussy, always a pussy." He's like, "Dad?" And it's so, it's a little accurate. I mean, probably a lot of sons my age should be in therapy with their dads if their dads are still around. But, a lot of us, unfortunately, guys my age in their 50s are also full of themselves and think that we can handle stuff without therapy. I have been in therapy, and I know I have daddy issues with them. And sorry, my hair's all wet, so I'm coiffing it so I look pretty when I go into work and maybe get bit by children later. Anyway, our generation a lot of us have dealt in therapy, and a lot of us are. I'm neutral on it. I think therapy can do great things. I also don't think it's always the best thing in the world, and it's not going to work for a person like my dad, whose issues are so deeply ingrained. I've mentioned before that he was not loved by his mother, and that's humongous, right? I mean, and how can you love people in a healthy manner if you weren't loved in a healthy manner? So halfway through the video, let's talk about what's going on now with my dad. So I talked to him last night. Well, actually, this happened I did talk to him last night, but a couple days ago, I get a call from his assisted living facility, and I always pick it up because if it's coming from them, it could be he's in the hospital, he died, he's being a thorn in our side again. Those are the top three things. And so this time it wasn't any of those things. This was a woman, kind of broken English, but she said, his Medicare is about to lapse or has lapsed, and we're looking. Want to make sure you're aware of that, and that that we're working on renewing it. And so I called him because that's what you got to do. Even though I am his emergency contact, and kind of could have dealt with this directly, I go through him. His mind is pretty sound. He forgets stuff all the time, and he's very angry, and he's kind of a conspiracy theorist, but he's not. He doesn't have dementia or what's the other one called? I have dementia, but he's not senile, and yeah, he doesn't have senility. He doesn't have dementia, and he's generally in decent shape considering his body is just a mess because of the smoking. On oxygen, like I said earlier, he's been on oxygen for 12, 13 years now. So, but he has no place to put his anger. He doesn't have a healthy outlet. He's never been an artist. He doesn't read anymore. He watches some TV sometimes. And sometimes a lot of that's Fox News, which just feeds into the anger. And so I call him and tell him, because like I say, he's a control freak and I think a narcissist. And I was like, I just got a call from Marycrest saying your Medicaid's about to, or Medicare, one or the other, has both. He worked the system so he has both. But he's like, well, who was it? I go, I didn't catch your name. I was at work, so I just checked the voicemail once and just called you because I know that's what you'd want me to do, Dad. He's like, yeah, you did good. What the fuck are these people doing? Why are they calling you? I go, because I'm your emergency contact, and I don't know. Did they talk to you about it yet? And he's like, no. And I go, and he has a fair point, right? They should go to him first, especially because he is of sound mind, despite how much of a pain in the ass he is. But they came to me. What's the big deal? And he's like, well, they're not supposed to go to you. It's supposed to be, I get it, Dad. They're supposed to go to you first, but they came to me. Okay. And then, Dad, can you admit that sometimes you're not the easiest guy to deal with? He's like, well, whatever. Anyway, what'd they say? And I told him what they said, and then I sent him the voicemail. And he's like, you did good, man. You did good. It's almost like the military dealing with him. And you don't show any independence. You sign the contract. It's like a 4-year, except my contract is into its 57th year now. Like, you do exactly as he says, or he's going to get upset. And it's the same way with his wife. It was the same way with my mother, his first wife. He treats people like dogs, literally. Not in a sort of dehumanizing way, but if you don't follow the instructions to a T, he gets upset. And then, in my case, he does things like bring up your past. I know I mentioned this, I think, a while back, but one he did just recently was, what did I forget to do? It was something very simple, something very easily correctable, like groceries. Like I got the wrong thing, or I forgot something, or I got too many of something. I usually err on the side of caution. Like, well, you didn't tell me exactly how much, and I don't like calling him in the grocery store because I'm like, Dad, how many bananas do you need? Usually you get 2 or 3. You might get 4, and then he'll get upset sometimes. Why'd you get me 4? I said 2. I'll take the 2 and I'll eat them. It's not a big fucking deal at all. Okay, so that kind of stuff happens. And sorry, I was going on a tangent here, but oh yeah, so I did something wrong, and he brought up. And he's done this many times in the past because he has nothing to really stick me on recently because I haven't been a loser, right? I almost never asked him for money. And when I did, I paid it back immediately. I pay my own rent. I am a father to my kids, huge father to my kids. I've done all the things that he's failed on. And so I think he sees that, and rather than maybe just admit it in his mind, I don't need him to say it to me, but he'll find a weakness, a chink in my armor. Something he thinks is a chink in my armor, and something he thinks will maybe play on my mind. I think he's got to think this because he's too intelligent not to. But so he'll bring stuff up when I was 17 years old. I forged a credit card, forged a report card when I was 17. When I was 19, I almost lost my license because of too many speeding tickets. And then finally, when I was 21, almost 21, I got out of his house. I lived there for a few years after my mom kicked me out. I was kind of a dipshit. From ages 15 to 19, I was close to useless, but I graduated high school. I went into retail. I worked part-time my last year of high school, and I worked another 2 years. And then in 1987, I got sick of being told what to do by dipshits. And so I said, I got to get my piece of paper. I got to go to college and get a 4-year degree. And kind of failed there too, in a way, because I never got my teaching credentials. And I think I would have been a really good classroom teacher. But I'm doing what I get to do now, and I get to help kids. And I've been doing that for 9 years. I've been a good parent. I'm being a good son because I'm all he's got. Outside of his wife, I'm all he's got. That and that assisted living facility. So that's a little bitch session about my dad. A little maybe explanation of the type of man he is and the type of man I am. I'm not perfect, but yeah, there we are. That's a quick morning bitch session from your old JC about JC Senior. And that's about it. And watch Loudermilk if you like that type of humor, if you like Ron Livingston, because I think it's a great show. All right. Have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.